Welcome back to Condors Unleashed. Ryan Holt, Kevin Bartle. Thanks for taking your lunch and spending it with us. Bart's has already wolfed down, what, 3 slices of pizza?
I always think that I have time for one last bite.
You don't.
And I don't.
Thanks to Mountain Mike's Pizza, as always, for providing today's pizza. And thanks to the Edmonton Oil Kings for dressing us in our wardrobe here this this afternoon. We got to get a polo for you, too, Coach. Well, I mean, it's ironed. It's an iron.
It does look sharp.
It's brand new. It's out of the box.
It's
That's
right
why
out
it
of the
looks so good
box.
on him.
I haven't washed it yet, Coach, so that's the problem.
I don't see us sponsored by Under Armour. But,
well,
yeah.
Can we figure it out? Can we get a sponsorship? No?
That's the ECHL, man. Under Armour, not interested.
Troy, man, joining
You said
us here, right, fresh from the arena. The guys had the day off, but Coach is certainly not with the day off. Looking at the game last night, things got off to a good start, but was it a matter of mental and just some physical fatigue there playing in the fourth game of a 4 out of 5?
Well, I think a couple things. I think the first goal against woke Alaska up a little bit. So I think the first period was a product of us coming out pretty sharp and Alaska kind of sleeping a little bit. And then that first goal goes in, and then, we took a couple penalties, didn't help our cause. And then our puck management was, just finishing watching the game was probably our worst of the year. So you put all those combinations together, and usually with a team like that's first in almost every category in the league, things don't end up going your way.
Yeah, I felt kind of like Nostradamus last night because at the end of the first period, it was a great period. And we talked about it. Now, that penalty came late in that first period, so that was going to carry over. And I said, what's going to determine the rest of this game is the first 5 minutes of the second period. I feel like that's when the Condors lost control of it. Took another penalty, gave up a goal 4.5 minutes into the period, and Alaska was off to the races.
Well, you think about it, it all comes together. Like we turned the puck over 36 seconds left in the first period. 10 seconds later, it's a penalty. So we killed that penalty off, no problem. And I do agree with your assessment of power plays to start the period are usually in the PK's favor. And we kill that one off, but then we take another penalty right away. So the first 3 minutes of that second period, we kill off, and then we start just turning pucks over. And quite frankly, the first goal was not very good. That can't go in when you're trying to beat the best team in the conference. And we were on our heels pretty much the rest of the game. Although there was a pocket in that second period where we had about 4 or 5 grade A's that if we could have got the third one, it might have shifted the momentum. But we weren't able to bury, and then next thing you know, it's 2-2 and then 3-2.
You talked about their first goal not being very good. Our first goal, very good. Nick McNeil coming around the net and then throwing out through the slot to Jordan Knackstedt. And McNeil, he fits in, I think, here with this Condors club. I know it's only been a week and only been 4 or 5 games, but it just seems to fit with what the Condors want to do.
Yeah, I do like Nick. He's he's only been 4 games in, and I don't judge people until about on the 10th game. But overall, the last 2 games especially, Shaber's line along with him, Knackstedt, seem to have a little bit of chemistry. They've been by far our best line here over the last couple nights. And Nick is, he's a power forward, a little bit sneaky, deceptive skater. Once he gets going, he kind of brings a little bit of speed to the, his first 2-3 strides aren't great, but he's been physical. He's got 3 points in 4 games, and, he's looking to make a push to be in that starting lineup game 1 of the playoffs.
Now, we've seen big bodies, if you will, 6'4", 6'3" guys come in and potentially they're not as physical as you'd like them to be, but Nick is as physical, so he comes as advertised.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the scouting report on him was of all the players out in the East and the CIS, there's a number of guys that are turning pro right now, but he probably had the most upside to play in the American Hockey League just because of his size and what he brings to the game. The thing I do like about Nick, he comes from a very well-coached program, so there are some tinkers that he needs to do within our systems that he's not quite on board yet, and that's normal for a guy that coming into a new team, but overall, he makes smart plays, and you can tell that he's well coached.
Last night, one of the keys to the game that you had mentioned beforehand was limiting Alaska's opportunities off the rush. But in the first period, it was the Condors that were the rush team. I mean, they were coming through the neutral zone with numbers, it seemed like every single shift. What was Bakersfield doing in that first period that they weren't able to accomplish in the second and third?
Well, we were moving our legs, and our breakouts were excellent. Our neutral zone play, which was another key, consequently in the second and third, our neutral zone play kind of fell apart, and that was a lot to do with turnovers because then we started back, defending way too much. And then the tide turned, and there were a tremendous amount of speed. The gap between our forwards and D in our neutral zone play the second half of the game, when there was just way too much separation, and we got away from the system, and they started coming at us at waves, and consequently we couldn't generate. We had one scoring chance in the third period, and it came from Ryan Little with 1 second left in the game. So technically, we had 0 scoring chances in that third period. You're not going to win a lot of hockey games. In the second, I think they had 8 or something, where the first it was 4-1. So just if we could have ended the hockey game after 20, we would have been very happy. So.
We mentioned during your postgame last night, and even alluded to it in the pregame yesterday, reinforcements arriving at least temporarily for this Condors team. You're bringing in 2 defensemen out of the University of Alberta in Barteau and Joe. What can you tell us about them?
Well, I think one of the areas we really need help on right now is our defense, only because we don't have a lot of numbers. When you're playing a number of hockey games, you guys are tired, and that is the one area that I have been concerned about here over the last 10 days is just our D being overworked. So we got a couple young kids coming in, like Colin Joe and Ian Barteau, both major junior graduates of the Western Hockey League that have played CIS. I'm a big proponent of that, because now you've got a mature player that's not only played a tough schedule like the ECHL in the WHL, but they've also got experience in the CS, which is a pretty good league. And if you look at the CIS, I think the 2 best programs in the country is the University of Alberta and the University of New Brunswick. So we've got McNeil from UNB. Now we've got 2 defensemen coming in from U of A, who just, by the way, won the championship on Sunday. So Colin will be here with us long term. He's a left shot. I wanted to add definitely a left shot because I'm, as you guys know, big on the lefty, righty on the defense. And we could watch video all afternoon here on examples of why guys need to play on their forehands, but that's a discussion for another day.
That'll be our show that we do up until 5 p.m.
Yeah, we could show,
literally 4 hours.
We could go 5-6 hours with that, I think.
So Colin will be in. He'll be here long term because we want to carry 8D going in the playoffs. And then Ian's going to come in on a 5-game just to give us a break here and give us 6D until Cunningham and Garlitz are ready to go, which I hope by next weekend those guys will be both healthy and ready to go next weekend.
For the record, I'm a little upset right now at Ryan Holt that he mentioned those 2 guys by name, because I personally don't like to mention them until they clear customs.
That's right.
And now Immigration Bartle is going to be very upset for the next 3 hours, wondering they're not through yet, and Holte already said they're coming. And now I could be rattled. I could be rattled often.
Let's hope the Border Police don't monitor Condors Unleashed.
Especially and that's going to ruin our practice tomorrow.
Oh, my God.
And if I ruin practice, Troy Mann's kicking me right out of the door.
I mean, the whole week could be thwarted by Ryan Holt.
There's nothing worse than going into an ECHL practice with 9 forwards and 4D. I mean, seriously. You might as well just send the guys home.
Chris said that was ugly.
Is Murph going to be a D or forward in practice tomorrow?
Actually, Murph's going to be the 10th forward tomorrow, so we should be 10-6 if our guys make it through the border today.
Right.
Murph skates as well backwards as anybody on our team, I think. So
I'd like to sign Murph. But
can we sign him?
You have to fire him as the assistant coach and then put him on. He'd certainly give us some energy, and Murph was a great player to coach.
You mentioned last night that Travis Garlitz was only going to occasionally. I mean, he looked like he was taking a regular shift early in the game.
Yeah, early in the game, Murph backed him off in the third. I mean, his hand injury is coming along, but it's still not ready. And he certainly beat the puck up a little bit last night as well. But he's a trooper. He's a gamer. I love him. But we need to get him right here to be able to make some kind of a push here down the stretch.
Do you get the feeling? And I mean, it's looking weeks in advance here, but with the playoffs around the corner, that when the Condors eventually, and it's going to happen at some point, eventually get the unit back that they had in January and February, the guys like Broda, Miller. I mean, Broda and Miller haven't played together yet in a Condors sweater. Maybe LB comes back here sooner rather than later. You never know what's going to happen, but you get Leach back on the blue line. Do you get the feeling that this is going to be a tough outcome playoff time once these guys come together? And do you need these guys to play in the regular season together before the playoffs? Or can they come right in game one and just roll the dice?
Well, I think it's always difficult to just roll into the playoffs. It'd be nice to have our full contingent of roster here for a couple games, but it's out of our control. In terms of Broda coming back, Miller. He's the 13th forward in Oak City right now. And you can't they're not going to go below their, they're not going to send him back until they get some reinforcements as well. So everything's up in the air right now. We just need to continue to build our roster here, put some pressure on our regular roster with some of these ATOs and young guys coming in to see if they can make us better. Because at the end of the day, you want your team to be top, in terms of competing for that Kelly Cup here come playoffs. I just want us to play some good hockey down the stretch. The last 10 games, if you go back to heading into Alaska, we're 3-7, which is not really what I'm looking for. And when I did the math over the last 10 games, I was kind of hoping to be 5-5 going into this Friday's game, just based on getting a split at home against Idaho. So the two games I'm most frustrated about, to be honest with you, would be that second game against Idaho and then the Sunday game in Vegas. For me, tired or whatever you want to be, you can't lose those games. And we'd be sitting here, 5 games above 500 or 4 games above 500, and I'd feel much better about us right now.
How about Wes Cunningham? What's his status?
It's kind of week to week right now. I mean, it's slowly getting better. He could probably play if it was a playoff game here Friday night, but I think we need to get him right. He's too valuable to the team. I mean, just look at the record without him here and our PK and just the number of areas that he's adds, left shot defenseman. I mean, so we're just taking our time with he volunteered to play yesterday as well. We picked Growler over him just because the other injury, I think we need to get it 100% so it doesn't return, because it's nothing's. It doesn't seem like, lace bite doesn't seem like much, but it's a very, very painful injury, and you got to get it right.
Well, let's be honest.
It's like turf toe in football.
It does.
It sounds silly, but man, does it hurt.
Yeah, it's very painful because you can't stride, and if you can't push off your one leg, I think it's very important to be able to push in the skating stride.
It kind of is.
You need to be able to skate, I think.
You kind of do.
And they've done everything. Andy's done a great job with him. I mean, we've contacted, the Dallas Stars, who we were, I'm friends with the athletic trainer there and the doctors here. Everybody's done everything possible or everything known to cure this type of injury. And we're at 4 weeks now, which is unbelievable.
Yeah. Looking at this weekend, before we let you go, Coach, just one game here on the weekend, so a chance with a win over Ontario here this weekend to feel good about yourself for the entire weekend, and really confident team, I think, against this Ontario squad.
Yeah, I mean, every game seems to be a battle. They seem to bring the best out of our team. We've had, I think every game has been, except for maybe that first game down there where we didn't really touch the puck very much. I think it's been some great hockey, and we wanted to get a split this week, so it's only a 2-game set. So gave the guys a day off today to kind of replenish here and get rested. We'll have hopefully a good practice tomorrow and get a couple new defensemen in with some energy Friday night, and I'm sure we'll be ready to go and give the fans a good home game and hopefully the 2 points as well.
All right, that's the plan.
That sounds like a great plan to me.
Simple. Beat Ontario Friday night. Coach, thanks for the time.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Good luck the rest of this week, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday night in Condorstown.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Condors forward. He scored the overtime game winner on Saturday night. He's eating pizza already. Ryan Little will join us. Condors Unleashed live from the Dignity Health Studios inside the Bakersfield, California. Stay tuned.